Sega.
Sonic Rivals.
Shadow! Shadow!
Huh? What? You.
Shadow!
Hey! You. This won't take long. Let's go. Let's go. Right. This will take long. Watch and learn. Watch and learn. Cool.
Hey!
Fine.
I will show you real speed.
Shadow!
Hey! Shut up! Bring it on!
This will take a while. Watch and learn. Let's go.
All right! Out of my way!
Let's go. Try this. Try this.
Think back!
This will take a while. Let's go. Let's go. Watch and learn. Watch and learn. Try this. Watch your step. Doctor.
Hey! Eggman! Hide!
I will show you real speed.
Shadow.
What? What? Sonic. Hey! Huh. Let's do it! I will show you real speed. Let's see how tough you are. Watch your step. how tough you are. Doctor. What? This. Let's go. Try this. Right. Let's go, let's go. Out of my way. Take that. Try this.
Hey! Damn. Shut up! Hey!
I will show you real speed.
No problem!
Right. Yes. Let's go. This will out of my way, problem. Let's go. Try this. Watch it. No problem. Doctor.
Ha! Oh, oh, oh.
What?
Eggman. Fine.
Show you real speed. Huh? You.
What? Hey!
What?
What?
Doctor. I will show you real speed.
No! No! No!
Go!
Out of my way. You. What? What? This will take. Try this. Yes. Yes. Go. Yes. Cool. Watch your step. No way. What?
Well, well.
This won't take long. way. You.
Darn!
Ha, 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 ha.
What?
That's right. Shadow!
Let's go!
Ha, ha, ha.
Hey!
This way. No problem. Yes. All right.
Hey! Let's go! Hey!
I will show you real speed.
Hey!
You. You.
This won't take long.
No!
Out of my way. So easy.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Come on, Shadow.